2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2, 3. Check it 1, 2, 3. We're testing the live stream. I hope this isn't an actual song and I get a copyright strike. That would be bad. But testing 1, 2, 3. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this live English lesson. We'll get started in a moment once I am sure that everything is working, which I think it is. I should write a live stream song and sing it at the beginning, but it looks like everything's working properly. Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson about describing people, part 2. So last week we did a lesson on describing people where we learned over 25 words that you can use when you are describing people that you see at the mall, people in your family, when you're describing what your friend is like to another friend. And I think these words will be very helpful as you continue to have awesome English conversations and as you continue to learn the English language. So once again, welcome to this English lesson about describing people, part 2. Well, hey, welcome everybody. I hope you are having an enjoyable day. Hello to Chef Maddie. American English with Brent is here. Good to see you, Brent. Unabi, Sales, Home Sales, Dubani, Freddie Wolf, Aerosmith, 77, Key Park, Unabi. Let me scroll back. John Wedge, Freddie Wolf, Hafiez is here, Vitor, a lot of friendly faces and a lot of new people as well. But good to see all of you. Hi to, did I say hi to Freddie Wolf and Hafiez already? I probably did. Hello to Remix 5. And it's about time for me to stop saying hi to people and get the lesson started. Well, we're going to describe people again this week. Maybe you like to go to the mall and people watch. It's an interesting term, people watching. It's like it's kind of a weird thing to do, but it's like you watch people because it's enjoyable to see how they behave and how they act. I find if you like people watching, going to a touristy area or going to the mall is a great place to see people. Or the airport, if you watched my English lesson from this past week, you will have seen a lot of people walking around behind me. Anyways, if you have questions during this lesson, please ask them by using the link that's pinned in the chat or that's in the description below. Sorry, I did just get an error. Let me just check. Nope, everything's working good. And I will pause from time to time during the lesson to answer your questions, but I think we should just get the lesson started right now. Here we go. Ambitious. Someone who strongly wants to succeed and works hard to reach big goals. When you start a job, when you're young, quite often you're ambitious. You want to know, how do I get a raise? Like, how do I get paid more? How do I get a promotion? If I am a worker, how do I become a manager? If you think that way, you are ambitious at work. You are trying to figure out the things you can do, the way you can work hard to get into a better position. Ambitious people are often, I was going to say aggressive, but they very much focus on making themselves better so that they can do better at work. So ambitious, someone who strongly wants to succeed and works hard to reach big goals. People who start their own business are often quite ambitious as well. They start a business and then they want to make lots of money the first year, and they work very hard to try and achieve that. Artistic, someone who enjoys creating art and expressing ideas through creative work. Now, if someone's artistic, it doesn't necessarily have to just be painting. Someone who is artistic might be really good at drawing. They might be really good at playing music. They might be really good at painting. They might be really good at decorating a room so it looks really, really good. I'm not artistic. As we go through this list, I would say I'm ambitious, but I am not artistic. I can't draw. I can't paint. My classroom at school is not very well decorated. I often rely on students who are artistic to help me make my classroom look better. But an artistic person is someone who enjoys creating art and expressing ideas through creative work. Blunt. As you know, I do not get into politics here, but there was only one person I could think of when I thought about teaching the word blunt and had to find a picture. Someone who is blunt is someone who speaks very directly and says exactly what they think. So I'm not going to comment too much on this photo, but one of the people in this photo is quite blunt. One of the people in this photo speaks very directly and says exactly what they think. So the opposite, of course, would be someone who isn't blunt, doesn't say what they think. So if I said, hey, what do you think of my shirt? A blunt person would say, wow, that sweater's starting to look old. Whereas someone who's not blunt might say, oh, it looks okay, but have you considered upgrading your wardrobe? So blunt, someone who speaks very directly and says exactly what they think. Brilliant, someone who is extremely intelligent or very good at understanding things. So as a teacher, I would say that in every class I teach, there's probably 2 or 3 students who I would describe as brilliant. They are just extremely smart. When I teach a difficult concept, they understand right away, or they understand some things better than I do as a teacher. So this is a level of intelligence that's very, very high. I would say if there were 100 people in a room, probably 5 to 10 of those people I would describe as brilliant. The kinds of people that get their master's degree or a PhD or work in a field of complex mathematics or some kind of science field that I wouldn't understand. So we have 151 people watching this. That means there's probably 5 to 10 brilliant people sorry, am I insulting the rest of us? Probably. Sorry about that, but brilliant. Someone who is extremely intelligent or very good at understanding things. Competent. Someone who is able to do their work well because they have the needed skills. So the best kinds of coworkers, in my opinion, the best kinds of people to work with are competent people. When you work, like this guy must be competent. In order to, work hanging from a rope on the side of a building, that person needs to be competent. They need to be able to do their work well and have the skills to do it. Otherwise, they would fall and it would be horrible. But what was I saying? When you work with competent people, it makes the job far more enjoyable. For me, there's nothing better than being on a team with other teachers who are competent and we all do the work we're supposed to do, which is the opposite would be incompetent. It is very, very annoying to work with someone who is incompetent, but competent, someone who is able to do their work well because they have the needed skills. Considerate, someone who thinks about other people's feelings and tries to be kind. So you see in the photo here, someone writing a thank you note. When you do something for someone else, and if they send you a thank you note, we would say they're a very considerate person. After I broke my collarbone, someone dropped off a meal for us to eat so that Jen and I didn't have to make supper that night. That was very considerate of that person. That person was very considerate. So someone who is considerate is someone who thinks about other people's feelings and tries to be kind. Many of you in the chat during these live lessons are very considerate. You help other people understand what I'm talking about. So considerate, someone who thinks about other people's feelings and tries to be kind. Dramatic, someone who reacts to things with strong emotions or exaggeration. I have a funny feeling this is an AI photo that just has that look to it. But the main point of this photo is sometimes young children in grocery stores can be very dramatic if they don't get what they want. I have had this experience myself when my kids were little. I would go to the grocery store with them and they would want a candy bar or a chocolate bar or a candy. And I would say no, like all good parents. And then sometimes my children would be very dramatic. They would yell and scream and cry and try to throw things. And then I would just say, no, don't do that. That's how I would react. But a dramatic adult might be similar. They might not enjoy a decision made by the boss, and then they might get annoyed and say things that they shouldn't say. So dramatic, someone who reacts to things with strong emotions or exaggeration. Distant, someone who seems emotionally cold or not very friendly with others. So let's say you have a friend and you don't really talk to them anymore. And when you try to call them, they don't answer the phone. And when you do see them and have a conversation, they don't really say much. Like they don't really talk deeply about their life. You would say that person is distant, or they're becoming distant. So this can happen in families. You might have a family where there are one or two cousins who are quite distant. They don't really love the family. They don't come to a lot of family things. They are simply kind of, they're still out there living their life, but you don't really know much about them. And when you do talk to them, they don't really tell you much. They just say, life's good. Yep, things are going okay. So distant, someone who seems emotionally cold or not very friendly with others. You might have a coworker who eats their lunch by themselves and doesn't really talk to people, and you would describe that person as distant. Eager, someone who is excited and ready to do something. So this is what I would say most young children are very eager. If you say, we're going to go to the zoo today, they would be quite excited. They would be very eager to go to the zoo. You might have a coworker who's always really eager to do things with other people at work. Maybe you might say, hey, I'm going out for lunch today. Does anyone want to come? And maybe one of your coworkers who's very eager says, oh, I'll come. That would be fun. So eager, someone who is excited and ready to do something. It's a lot of fun working with eager people. Fussy, someone who is very particular and easily bothered by small problems. I did, again, put a picture of a child because we often use this word to describe children who don't want to eat their food. They are very fussy. They only want to eat, like on this plate, maybe this child only wants to eat the noodles and doesn't want to eat the cucumbers. It's kind of hard to see what else is on there. But we would say, oh, my child is really fussy. And it's not just food. Like maybe they only want to wear the shirt with the cat on it every day. And there are adults who are very fussy as well. There's someone I know, I won't say who likes to have their car completely clean all the time. And he is very fussy about it. He doesn't like it if someone touches the window on his car before getting in, or turns the knob on the radio and gets fingerprints on it. He's very fussy. And I think I'm going to teach the word, no, I don't have the word particular, but we use the word particular as well to describe a person like that. Hey, let's look at some questions. In the chat Brett says, I am that distant coworker. Brett's the guy who goes off and eats his lunch by himself. I doubt that, Brett. I highly doubt that. Let me just read through the chat a bit and then I will get to the questions. First question is from Judith. Hi, Bob. What kind of training do you recommend in order to be acquainted with the ability to describe people? What kind of profession can it be linked to? Thanks. I would say teachers are pretty good at describing people. You would need to be in an occupation where you regularly see people and see different people. Like a doctor has to be really good at describing people. A nurse has to be good at describing people. But certainly as a teacher, it's a unique job where, I've been at the school for a long time and I see different students every year. And so being able to describe students as competent, brilliant, artistic, the more people you see, the easier it is to describe them. From Judith as well. Hi, Bob. How do your colleagues or other people describe you? I can be described as blunt. I do sometimes say exactly what I'm thinking. Is your behavior affecting their judgment about it? Thank you. Not really. I think I am who I am. Like who you see on YouTube is basically who I am in real life, except I do talk a little slower. And you might say this is more of my teacher personality, but like real Bob and teacher Bob are pretty much the same person. Teacher Bob just might, I don't know, teachers sometimes talk like they're teachers. So maybe I do that a little bit sometimes. From Rochelle. Morning, Bob. If I don't look in a mirror while I'm practicing shadowing, how can I know if my pronunciation is right or wrong? Well, there's two ways. One is record yourself and then listen to yourself speaking while you compare it to the original audio. And then number two would be find a speaking partner or a tutor. There is a link in the description below to Preply if you want to go there. It's a great place to find someone. But those two, like record yourself, play the original audio, and then play the audio of you, and just try to see where you're making the mistakes. From Christian, sorry I'm late. No one's late to this class. It's always open for the full hour, but welcome, Christian. Sheldon, what do you think about studying English through American news and weather reports every day? Well, if you're studying through American news, and I am going to get a little bit political here, right now you're going to learn a lot about how America is run, and you're going to learn a lot about government and government decisions. So I would avoid the American political news to a certain degree. Like, you can read some of it, but I would certainly read American business news and American entertainment news and American sports news so that you at least get some variety in the mix. But if you simply read the front page in the last little while, it would be a lot of political decisions. So, but I think the news is great. The news and weather is great. Read it in your own language and then read it in English so that you already kind of have an understanding. Great way to learn new words. And then I would say this, shout out to Brent from American English with Brent, because Brent does videos like every week on current news stories, and then he teaches English with that news story. So if you see American English Brent in the chat, I think I can just do this for a sec. Let me find his YouTube channel. By the way, Brent exhibits most of the positive descriptors that I'm giving today. That's why I have no problem recommending him. Brent's channel with news in English. Here we go. Okay, so visit that channel, Sheldon, and that will help you a bit too. And he's pretty quick. Like, Brent, I'm kind of impressed. Like, there's a news story that I'm reading about, and then you almost always have a video either already up or within an hour. At least lately, you've been teeing off pretty quick on those. From Sergey, when you study English on your own, you must learn a teaching methodology. You are a teacher and a student at the same time. Do you agree? What is your thoughts about it? Certainly when you learn English on your own, I would say you need a strategy and a plan, because you want to make sure that you're studying everything. If you don't have a plan, you might inadvertently do too much of one thing. You might just listen to podcasts for 3 months and never practice writing or speaking. So certainly I would develop a plan, and I would follow that plan if you are learning English. Unabi, hi, Mr. Bob. How would you describe someone who is not blunt in a bad way? Is hypocritical the right adjective for that? Thank you. I would describe someone who's not blunt as reserved. But when you describe someone as reserved, it means they don't express their opinion very much, and they don't talk much. So a blunt person says your tie is ugly. The opposite of blunt would be someone who's reserved, who simply says nothing about your tie at all. That would be how I would describe the opposite of blunt. From Shavisi, do you offer online English classes? I do not. Someday in the future I might, but it is not in my plan. Right now, my plan is to make English lesson videos and put them online. That's my plan. From Janelle, what's up, Bob? Not much. What do you think about stress in every word and rhythm in every sentence? Are these important when studying English? I'm very thankful for your help. So as a native English speaker, I don't realize when I'm stressing or the rhythm I'm using because it's all very natural. So I think the best thing you can do is do shadowing practice with people who are speaking English perfectly. Because then you'll naturally and even subconsciously, without thinking, pick up on the correct stress and the rhythm of every sentence. So yeah, like there's things native English speakers we just don't learn about, right? Like the stress on certain syllables. I don't know why I stress a certain part of a word or why, like it's not taught. You just learn that as you're growing up. From Mikhailo, hi teacher, there are no questions this time. One thing I want to emphasize that the topic you chose is a brilliant idea. Good for you and keep going. I'm glad that you are enjoying it. Let me see here. Vitor is saying, oh, hi, know that. Know that's in the chat. Good to see you, know that. Just finished your work day. Oh, I'm jealous. Still have to go to work. Know that. Also asking a question. Hello, Bob. I'm not sure if you've been asked this already, but which personality type or types do you find the hardest to deal with? Thanks a lot, Bob. Someone who is incompetent. So I taught the word competent, someone who is good at what they do. And in English, we would say they carry their weight. Like if I have to work with someone who's competent, I do half the work and they do half the work and we have fun. When I work with someone who's incompetent, it drives me crazy. Like I do not enjoy that at all. That is my least favorite kind of person to work with. Okay, let's see here. Elena, hi Bob. How would you describe people who are a bit aggressive securing their private space, especially speaking to, not sure about that word, in their circumstance? So, I saw someone at the gym the other day get angry at someone else because they were using a machine and they walked away and someone else tried to use it. And he got, the word I would use is he got kind of huffy. I'm not sure if that's like a legit English word. Meaning of he got huffy. Like he started to get a little bit angry. He got huffy means he became suddenly annoyed, offended, or was offended. Yeah. So I'm not sure if that's a word used around the English speaking world, but he started to get like, hey, I was using that machine. Can't even walk away for a swear word minute without someone taking it. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but hopefully it comes close. From Unsel, hi, Mr. Bob. Busy day for me, so I can't stay. No problem. But I wanted to say hello. Describing people is always a fun topic. Enjoy the live stream. You're awesome. Bye. Well, you're awesome too, Unsel. And yes, we will enjoy this live stream where we talk about other people. It's always fun to talk about. It's always fun to talk about other people, isn't it? Let me have a sip of water and we will get back to the lesson. Here we go. Impulsive. Someone who acts quickly without thinking carefully first. So the best example of this would be when you are at the grocery store. And in my part of the world, and I'm sure this is the same everywhere, when you go to pay for your groceries, there's lots of chocolate and candy right there. So you're waiting in line to pay for your vegetables and your fruit and all your healthy stuff. And there's all this chocolate and all this candy. And usually there's gum as well. And if you're impulsive, it means you might just buy something without, you act quickly without thinking carefully first. Like, do I need chocolate right now? No, I just want it. So someone who is impulsive, it's not just about buying food. You might know someone who quickly does things without thinking, and we would say that they are impulsive. Irritable. Someone who becomes annoyed or angry very easily. This is also the type of person I do not enjoy working with. Someone who, sometimes people are just in a bad mood. Like nothing's even really happened and they're already annoyed and agitated. And that's how I would describe someone who is irritable. Like if they come to work and they go to make a coffee and there's no sugar left, we have a little place at work where you can make a cup of coffee and they just get angry. They're just annoyed. And it's like, well, just go buy some more sugar. Anyways, irritable, someone who becomes annoyed or angry very easily. So if I work with incompetent, irritable people, I become irritable. It causes me to become annoyed and angry very easily. Long-winded, someone who talks for a long time and uses more words than necessary. You probably know someone like this. I think everyone knows someone who is long-winded. You simply want to know one thing, and it takes them 5 minutes to tell you. So maybe you say, hey, do you like your new car? And then you end up hearing a 10-minute story about everything they like about the car and don't like about the car. And you just wanted them to say, yes, it's a nice car. So long-winded, someone who talks for a long time and uses more words than necessary. Teachers, as they get older, sometimes become long-winded because we talk every day professionally. Sometimes in our personal lives, when we get older, we start to be long-winded when we talk to other people. Hey, Bob, how do you get to the grocery store? Well, let me tell you a really long story about how to get to the grocery store. Meticulous, someone who pays very close attention to small details. You can see all of the spices here are neatly organized. They're probably organized alphabetically from asparagus, that's not a spice, down to, I can't think of a spice that ends in Z or Z if you're in America. But meticulous, someone who pays very close attention to small details. You might have a friend who has a really nice car and they're very meticulous. They keep it very clean on the inside. You might know someone who keeps their house or apartment very neat and tidy and clean. We would say that they are meticulous. When you go and see someone's kitchen, if the person is meticulous, the kitchen is very clean, and then it would be a safe place to eat. If the person does not have a clean kitchen, I wouldn't eat there. I'm kind of going off topic a little bit here because I'm seeing some of the chat and it's making me giggle. But meticulous, someone who pays very close attention to small details. Negative, someone who often expects bad results or focuses on problems. So the last lesson we talked about someone who is, maybe we didn't, but this is the same as being pessimistic. So when you're pessimistic, you think the glass is half empty. You see everything in a bad way or negative way. So we sometimes say a person is negative. He's a very negative person. He always thinks the team's going to lose in the next game. He never thinks the team is going to make it to the championship this season. He's very negative. So someone who often expects bad results or focuses on problems. The opposite, of course, would be a positive person. A positive person always thinks their team is going to do well and their team is always going to win the championship that year. But negative, you can see this guy, he does not look like a very positive person, and he has the traditional thumbs down, meaning he doesn't like something. Very negative. Nosy, someone who is too interested in other people's private business. So this is a person looking through a keyhole, kind of spying on people. If you actually did this in real life, it's illegal. Like, you can't look through a keyhole to see what other people are doing, but it certainly illustrates the meaning of the word nosy. By the way, it can be N-O-S-Y or N-O-S-E-Y. There's two spellings. But someone who is too interested in other people's private business. So I know someone in my family. It might be an aunt or an uncle or a cousin, I won't say, in case they're watching, but they're very nosy. They always want to know what everybody else is doing. They want to know all the details of their life. They're very nosy. They ask a lot of questions. But the benefit is, if I want to know something about what's happening in my family, that's the person that I ask, because they usually know everything that's going on with all my cousins and uncles and aunts. So anyways, nosy, someone who is too interested in other people's private lives or private business. Orderly, someone who likes things to be neat, organized, and arranged properly. So meticulous and orderly are somewhat similar. I would say orderly definitely looks like this, where all the coat hangers are beautifully hung. They're even like every other color. A teacher needs to be very orderly and very meticulous when they collect student work and then look at it and give them a grade. So orderly simply means that, I'm trying to think, the opposite would be like messy or chaotic, but orderly is very good. If you go to the doctor, you want the doctor to be a very orderly person and examine your eyes and ears and check everything when you go for your doctor's visit, instead of just randomly asking you questions about what's wrong with you. So orderly, an orderly person, someone who likes things to be neat, organized, and arranged properly. Outspoken, someone who speaks their opinions openly and without fear. So I just put some older people here. Nothing against older people, but I have noticed that the older people get, the more likely they are to be outspoken. And you could also say they're blunt. Okay, my mom is very outspoken. She says whatever she's thinking openly and without fear. Because she's older, she won't lose her job or anything like that if she says what she thinks. So she's not afraid to speak. Sometimes when there is a protest in a country, the protesters are very outspoken. They say what they think about the government, and they do it. They speak their opinions openly without fear, but in that case, they might be a little fearful. But basically the gist of this definition is that it's someone who speaks their opinions openly, like they're willing to say what they think about certain topics. Hey, let's get back to questions and let's go to members only chat. Let me turn on members only chat and let me give away a free membership. Let me do that as well. Let me find the button. I think I saw someone give a membership earlier already. I should double check that, but let me do a free membership. So someone is going to get a free membership, and I'll explain what membership does in a bit. I'm scrolling back in the chat because I'm pretty sure Brent sent. So American English with Brent sent one gift membership, and Ning got it. Hard to say your name, sorry. And then Paolo Fu received a gift membership from me. So you are now members of the channel. If you go to the posts section of this YouTube channel, you will see all of the members only posts. And what do you get if you're a member? Number one, on Monday, you get a little lesson plan from me, things you can do throughout the week to practice your English. Number two, you get an extra video on Wednesdays called Wednesdays with Bob. In the last video, I talked about kidney stones 2 weeks ago. In this past video, I talked about drive-thrus, why there's so many drive-thrus in North America. And then you also get your name in green, and you can ask questions during members only chat during a live stream. So I will answer member questions as well as questions from the queue for 10 minutes, and then we will get back to the lesson from Le Hua. Hello, Bob. The other day, I know you have a Bilibili channel. I do. If you are in China and you don't want to use a VPN to watch my videos, you can watch them on Bilibili. All the same videos are there. I am wondering how you would describe your channel, YouTube channel, and Bilibili channel. How would I describe it? YouTube pays more. That's what I would say. But I also enjoy putting my videos up myself in China because there are so many channels that have used my videos without my permission that I would rather just put them there myself. So I do make a little bit of money from Bilibili, but it'd be nice to make more. More money is always good, isn't it? When you're trying to save up to buy a van because your current van's falling apart. Let's see. From Judith. Hi, Bob. According to your opinion, younger or older students can comprehend better the differences of your description. Yes, definitely. So these are all like adults would use these words, but small children would not use these words. And then live stream tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow is the first Saturday in March. So at 10 a.m. tomorrow, I will be doing a Q&A live stream. Thanks for the reminder, Judith. That will definitely be happening. From the chat members, we have Mikhailo. How would you describe yourself? Are you sanguine, choleric, melancholic, and phlegmatic according to types of temperament? I'm just Bob. I don't know how I would describe myself. I don't want to sound too arrogant. I would say I'm competent in the work I do, and I would say I'm ambitious as well. I think I keep seeing Jen walk by the window. Okay. From Know That, hey Bob, with the March break on the horizon, do you have any plans with your family, or will you spend the time catching up on some work on your farm? Thanks, Bob. We don't have any major plans. My university-age children were already home for spring break a couple weeks ago, so we did a lot of family stuff then. But it will mostly be farm work if the weather's nice, yes. Mode says, no, not yet, but thanks for the info. Oh, hi, Mode. Good to see you. having a conversation there. John says, Bob, as always, no questions today. Having fun here chatting about all sorts of things related or not to today's lesson. Awesome. And John usually says, give a thumbs up. Maybe he forgot today. If you could give a thumbs up, that would be great. Brent also, from Mode, Brent also put me in detention for being late. I guess I had it coming. That'll teach me to be on time. There you go. Nothing like a good detention to help you learn that phrase. That'll teach me. Let's see. Key Park says, I fund Bob's lessons on Himalaya. I don't know what Himalaya is, Key Park. So hopefully you're actually funding me and not someone else. From Brent, Samode, well, I don't have any real authority. It was just a suggestion. Brent has some authority here. Brent's the only one in the chat that can text me during a live stream. That's the authority that Brent has, although I don't have my phone on me right now. Wanda says, hi, Teacher Bob. Can we consider nosy and gossip? I would say gossipy, similar concepts. Yeah. If you're gossipy, you talk a lot about other people. Freddie says, Modex, for being late to engage. There we go. Describing people part 2. This is more like part 7 or 8. It's actually a redo of a lesson from 6 years ago with different pictures and a few different words added. So there you go, Mode. If you've been around long enough, you would see that. John Wedge, don't forget to give a thumbs up, folks, immediately. And then from Cy Sandy, hi, Bob. No questions today. Thanks a lot for this helpful lesson. Wish you a great weekend. I think I got all the questions. Let me do another one from the queue. Let's see here. And I will keep an eye on the chat. Fabian says, hi, dear, amazing, incredible, awesome Teacher Bob. Thank you for all those compliments. What do you think about people who want to get ahead in life? Is it ambitious? Yes. Thank you for your channel. We would say they're ambitious. We would say there's a couple other phrases like they're a real go-getter. That's a phrase we use to describe someone who works hard. Let's see here. Himalaya is an audio platform in China. I am not familiar with Himalaya, Key Park. Good to know, though. Let me get another question up here. From Mugabe. Hi, Bob. I hope you are doing well. Could you please tell me where I can find the plan of study? So you need to go to YouTube. Let me find the link for you. The best way to learn English, Bob the Canadian. I'm making it sound like I type really fast, which I do type somewhat fast, but not that quick. So if you go to this, here is a plan of study video. So if you go to that link, you will find how I suggest you should study English. Hopefully you find that helpful. Okay. From Know That in the chat, a personal question, Bob. Who is the most patient person you know? Jen, by the way. Jen is very, very patient. Yes. From Adriano. Hello, Bob. To learn English, do you think it is important for me to listen to English even if I don't understand what is being said? Yes, passively. I think you should. Music is probably one of the best things to listen to when you don't understand everything that is being said, because music's just fun to listen to like repeatedly. And so listening to a song 5 or 10 times because you like the beat and you like how it sounds, without knowing what the words are, is helpful. And then you can start to learn the words from that. Would I listen to a podcast if I don't understand anything? No. If I was listening to a podcast, I would slow it down to 75 or 80%. And I would, if it's a video podcast, I would turn the subtitles on. Or if it's audio only, I might read the transcript beforehand and look up some of the words. But music, definitely, I would do that. If Bob doesn't know he's on Himalaya, chances are you're supporting a copycat there. Yeah, possibly, because not familiar. There are, like every week, someone will email me and say, this person in this country is doing a live stream with your videos and charging money, and it's not me, and I can't do anything about it. So that's just the way life goes. Meticulous is nice. Freddie Wolf, Bob, do you think that being a diplomat and being blunt can be compatible? No. I think if you're a diplomat, you need to be diplomatic when you talk. That's a great word. And you don't just have to use that for diplomats. when you're diplomatic, it means you listen to what somebody's saying. You suggest, if I want one thing and they suggest something else, you find an idea that works for both of you. You're kind as well if you're diplomatic. Key says, yeah, I think that's a copycat not getting Bob's permission. Probably. That's, yeah, I know it sounds silly, but it's the world we live in. There's not a lot I can do sometimes about that. Hey, let's get back to the lesson though. Let me turn off members only chat. And there's too many. There we go. We'll go back to subscribers only. I'm going to have a sip of water. Mode says, imagine having to listen to Bob ramble on 24/7. That takes a lot of patience for sure. Poor Jen. Yes, definitely. Jen has a lot of patience, especially if we're driving somewhere, because I don't mind driving long distances as long as I have someone to talk to. But sometimes Jen wants to take a nap while I'm driving or something. So yes, she's very, very patient. I very much appreciate that. Okay, let's finish this lesson off. Here we go. Popular, someone who is liked by many people. So someone who is popular doesn't have to be a celebrity like Matt Damon. Like Matt Damon is popular, but in school, you can be popular, which means a lot of students know who you are. On YouTube, you can be popular. If you teach English on YouTube and you have a lot of subscribers, you would say, oh, he's a popular YouTuber. So it's not just for people like Matt Damon. It can be for, like, you could just say, oh, he's a really popular person in our town. He might run for mayor next year. So popular, someone who is liked by many people. Picky, someone who is hard to please and very choosy. Again, a picture of a child. I think we had fussy earlier, and picky is very similar. So this child is not eating their broccoli. This child is very picky and they don't want to eat what their parents have made for them. So picky, someone who is hard to please and very choosy. Quiet, someone who does not talk very much and prefers silence. So a quiet person is someone who likes to read books and maybe just have a cup of tea. Someone who is quiet does like other people, but sometimes just likes to sit by themselves and enjoy time by themselves. Hey, I'm going to go on to mute for a second. I will be right back because my phone is ringing and it's probably important. So I'll be right back in 5 minutes. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I have to, I don't have to go, but I had let me just make sure everything's working again. Hopefully it is. Hopefully everyone stuck around. Looks like they did. Okay, good. I have to have an x-ray. Everything's doing good, but as a final visit to the doctor, I have to have an x-ray of my collarbone, and I knew they were calling this morning to schedule that. So in Canada, we have free healthcare, but if they call to schedule something, you don't want to miss the call. You always take the call. So, okay. The music stopped, but it didn't last very long. Okay. Well, I'm back. Let's finish off the lesson. Realistic. Someone who understands situations clearly and accepts things as they are. So if you're a realistic person and someone says, I'm going to sell my used car and I'm going to see if someone will pay $10,000 for it. A realistic person would say, your car's only worth about $5,000. Like, you're not going to get $10,000. I know what people are willing to pay for that kind of car. So again, a realistic person, he is someone who understands situations clearly and accepts things as they are. Shy, someone who feels nervous or uncomfortable speaking with others. So I think in the last lesson, we had the word timid. Timid and shy are very similar. A timid person or shy person feels nervous. Like, sometimes when people visit, when our kids were little, one or two of our kids would hide because they were shy. They didn't want to talk to the people who were visiting. They were a little bit shy and a little bit scared to talk to them. Talented, someone who has a natural ability to do something very well. So here you see someone playing probably the cello and someone painting. When you're talented, you are very good at doing something. And it's usually something like, it can almost be anything. Like, Jen is a very talented farmer. I work with some very talented teachers. There are some very talented actors in the world. So when you recognize that someone is very good at doing something, you describe them as talented. Someone who has a natural ability to do something very well. But I would also say someone who has years of experience doing something, you could describe as talented as well. Unpleasant, someone who behaves in a rude, unfriendly, or disagreeable way. So all of my coworkers are nice. When I give examples of coworkers, I'm not talking about my work specifically, but you might work with someone who is unpleasant. They're just annoying. They aren't kind. They are rude. They are unfriendly. They disagree with everything that you say, and you could say they are unpleasant. You might also know someone who has a child who's very unpleasant. When you visit, the child screams and throws things and isn't very, very nice to be around. We would describe that child as unpleasant. Respected, someone who is admired and valued by others. And usually someone who is respected, you respect the advice they give as well. So if you know an older person who has lived a long life, they might be very respected. And if you're thinking about buying a house, you might go and talk to someone who's respected to get some advice. Like, maybe you have an uncle or a father or a mother or an aunt who is very respected. You admire them and you value them. You value what they say. My mom is very respected in our family. We will ask my mom for advice on a lot of different things. Observant, someone who quickly notices small details and changes around them. So let me say that again. Observant. When someone is observant, they notice when someone parks in a different parking spot. They notice when someone gets a haircut. I don't notice when people get haircuts, but some people are very observant. And they say, hey, did you get a haircut? It looks good. So if you're observant, you're someone who quickly notices small details and changes around them. An observant person would say, hey, I noticed the air conditioning's running now instead of the heat. The building must be getting warmer. So observant, someone who quickly notices small details and changes around them. Hey, that's the end. Let me finish off the questions. Here we go. Let me get a question on the screen. Oh, there's quite a few questions actually. Let me check the chat for a sec just to see if I missed anything. Whoa, that's a first. Yes, that Brent is correct. I don't think I've ever really paused a live stream to go do something. Usually it's a solid hour and then I don't ever leave. But this was, yeah. Let's see. Know that. Is there a specific reason why the curtain behind the couch is open this time? No particular reason, but I noticed the window needs to be cleaned. I'm also just trying a slightly different lighting setup. Yes, free source of light. Let's see here. Mode says, I thought you were the one who called him, Brent. No, it wasn't Brent. Unless Brent works at the radiology department or the, what do you call it? The medical scanning place. We actually don't go to the hospital now. We go to a private clinic. We're becoming a little more American with our healthcare. It's still free though. Let's see. Freddie Wolf, we already missed you. The music stopped. No, that says, when is your appointment? End of next week is it. Okay, let me get to these questions. And let's see. From William. Hello, Bob. Thanks for your lesson. My question is how to describe a person who has an incapacity, for example, with learning issues. We usually describe these as challenges. Students sometimes have learning challenges. Maybe it's difficult for them to read. Maybe it's difficult for them to do a task without a list of every step they need to do. So we usually describe those now as learning challenges. If they have a number of learning challenges, or we might say learning difficulties. But we usually tend to describe those things with more positive language now. Morin, hello, Bob. It's my first time here. Well, welcome. I'd like to know how you can describe a person that keeps the conversation for a long time, but in a bad way. Long-winded. We would say the person is long-winded or overstays their welcome. If someone is at your house and they're about to leave and they have their shoes and coat on, but they still talk for another hour, we sometimes say they overstayed their welcome. Okay. From Gretchen, how's it going, Bob? I live in the US, but I study English and ESL classes with other non-native speaker students. Continue next. I wonder if it's on the next screen. Let's see here. What would you recommend? Wait. Ooh. I think I picked up some bad pronunciation habits because their pronunciation wasn't very clear. What would you recommend to help me improve my pronunciation and speak more clearly like native speakers? I'm thankful for your time. Sorry, I can't put the whole question on the screen, but it's quite long. Get an English speaking partner. Find someone at a place like Preply, link is in the description below, who will specialize in accent reduction and pronunciation. Like actually look for a teacher on Preply where in their description they say that they specialize in accent reduction and pronunciation, and then they will help you fix those problems. Unabi, another simple question, Mr. Bob. Is there any difference between nosy and curious people? What do you think? Thanks. Nosy has a negative connotation. It feels like a negative word, but curious is a more positive word. Like if you say my neighbor is nosy, it sounds like your neighbor is not a very nice person. But if you say, oh, my neighbor was curious about what I was building in the backyard, that's a very positive way to be interested in what other people are doing. Sergey, what is the difference between meticulous and orderly? They're very, very similar. I would say a meticulous person, though, like their hair is perfect, their clothes are perfect, their house looks perfect. And then orderly is similar, but it's always about how things look. Like a meticulous person would put books on a bookshelf perfectly, and an orderly person would also make sure they're alphabetical. They're very similar, I would say. Okay, I'm going to skip the rest of Gretchen's because we got all of them. From Cuso, most of the time I have to review your video about 3 to 5 times and make sentences speak out loud, but some vocabs I still can't use properly. What should I do? Keep doing what you're doing, but I'm wondering if you're using what you're learning in an actual conversation with another person, because that can be very helpful. When you learn a word and then you use it a few times in a conversation, it can help you remember it. From Victor. Hi, Bob. I wanted to ask you why you don't post your lessons on TikTok anymore. I happened to come across one of your old videos today. Thank you. I know this sounds strange, but maybe not. But I only really post videos on platforms that make it worth my while. So when I put a video on YouTube, I make a few dollars off the video. When I put a video on Spotify, I make a little bit of money. When I put a video on Bilibili, I make some money. TikTok doesn't pay us anything. So I know people would like more videos on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, but it's just not worth my time to do that. Those platforms don't really support creators very well. Hi, teacher. Are arrogant and narcissistic similar in meaning? Thank you for your lessons. Have a great weekend. I would say narcissistic is a little more severe and a little bit more of a negative word. Like if you say Joe's arrogant, people might be like, oh yeah, he's really arrogant. But if you say, Joe's a narcissist, that's a pretty heavy negative description of the person. From Judith. Hi, Bob. How would you describe Jen's flower market on the level of a professional florist? Thank you. What kind of words would you use what an average person wouldn't? I would say Jen's skills are at a professional level. Part of being a professional is actually doing something for money. So the definition of a professional florist would be someone who makes bouquets and sells them. And Jen's done that for over 20 years. So I would say that would be the best description. She is a professional flower farmer and a professional florist. From Hasham, hi Bob, sir. How are you feeling being part of World War III? I don't have a lot to say about the goings on in the world, except what I always say. I feel like my job on this planet is to teach English online and to help people communicate better. And hopefully that will help us work towards a better world. So I cannot, as a teacher in Canada, comment in any way other than I'm trying to do the best job I can to make the world a better place. I know it sounds like a lofty goal, but I've been doing it for over 9 years, and I'm gonna keep on doing it. So, okay, thanks for watching, everybody. Sorry for the pause in the middle. Thank you for the 166 of you who stuck around. There will be a live English lesson tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be a Q&A lesson. I will answer as many questions as you submit within the hour and 10 minutes. And it's usually a fun, relaxing, enjoyable time. So 10 a.m. tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time, live lesson right here. Come and sit and enjoy, have a cup of tea while you listen to me try to answer a whole bunch of questions. This lesson, the lesson on describing people, part 2, shorter version will come out in 2 days. I will remove all of the question segments and create a 20 to 30 minute lesson. That's just a pure lesson, and you can listen to it again or watch it again. It will have subtitles that are AI generated, but they're pretty accurate. That will help you remember what you have learned. So look for that in a couple days as well. And again, thanks for watching, everybody. You're all awesome. I'm just going to start saying bye to the people who say bye. So in the chat, Dat Ning says, goodbye, Teacher Bob. Goodbye. Goodbye, Sai Sandy, Sophia. Goodbye to Know That, Uliana, Hafiez, John Wedge, Aerosmith 77, Dr. Park Yi, Ralph, Freddie Wolf, Gaeta, Helena, Uliana, Sai Sandy, Know That, Key Park, Ralph Wanda. I'm repeating myself. I'll just say bye to the people who say bye. Bye, everyone. Have a great week. By John Agiorge, by John, by Galipko, by Key Park, by Etienne, by Raphael, by everybody. Have a good day. Again, live stream tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Q&A, ask anything, by SG Nadeau, Bye, John Wedge. Puppy Shin, Ashami, Jamara, XD110707, XYZ, Sai Sandy Fred. Bye, everybody. Have a good day.